Hi everyone, my name is Mr. Watson, and in this video I'm going to be talking through how you can answer question 4 of AQA's Language Paper 2. As with the other videos I've made in this series, please bear in mind that the methods and the approaches that I show you in these videos are not the only ways to answer the questions. There are of course other ways, and your teacher might show you a completely different way to what I'm showing you here. If that is the case, then it is up to you to decide which approach works best for you and which one you think will help you the most. With that being said, let's have a look at how to answer question 4. So what is it that question 4 asks you to do? You are asked to compare the perspectives of the two writers, and in this case perspectives we're referring to the viewpoints and the opinions of the writers, and that's really important, and it trips a lot of people up with this question. The question is worth 16 marks, and you should aim to write at least 3 Pme paragraphs. If you're not sure what a Pme paragraph is, don't worry, I will break it down in a moment. You must ensure that you zoom in on techniques using subject terminology, and you should spend no more than 20 minutes answering this question. So this is what a question 4 from Language Paper 2 will look like. For this question, you need to refer to the whole of source A together with the whole of source B. Compare how the writers convey their different perspectives and feelings about their children growing up. In your answer, you could compare their different perspectives and feelings, compare the methods the writers use to convey their different perspectives and feelings, and support your response with references to both texts. So, what are the steps to achieve success with this question? First of all, you have to read the question and identify what you need to focus on, as well as whether you need to find similarities, differences, or both similarities and differences. As you can see in the example question, I've highlighted those key bits of information there, so I'd be looking for the different perspectives and feelings about the children growing up. I would then skim back through both source A and source B and identify at least 3 pieces of evidence per text that tell us about each of the writer's perspective. So that means I would be finding 6 quotations in total. 3 from source A, 3 from source B. And every one of those quotations needs to tell me something about the writer's perspective, the writer's point of view on their children growing up. And once I've got my evidence, step 3 is to write up the 3 Pme paragraphs in which you compare the perspectives of the two writers. Remember, this is a comparison question, so just like with question 2 of the same paper, you need to make sure you're using the appropriate comparative discourse markers. Words and phrases such as similarly, equally, however, on the other hand, etc. If you're not using those discourse markers, you're not comparing, and so you will massively hold yourself back in this question. Now, I've referred a couple of times to a Pme paragraph. What exactly is a comparative Pme paragraph? Well, effectively, it's very similar to a PEE paragraph, a point, evidence, explain or evaluate paragraph. The only difference is, because this question focuses on perspective, the language is changed slightly to try and help you remember that that is what you need to talk about. So the first thing you need to do is to identify the perspective of source A's writer on whatever the topic is. Then you need to identify a method that has been used by the writer to convey this perspective. Now the method is effectively your evidence, so that would be a quotation or a certain technique. Then you evaluate how the writer uses that method to convey their perspective, ensuring that you zoom in using subject terminology. So then what you do is you use a comparative discourse marker, and effectively you follow the exact same steps, but for source B. So you talk about the perspective of the writer to begin with, you then bring in a method or some evidence to support this, and then again you evaluate how the writer uses that method to convey their perspective, ensuring that you're zooming in again with subject terminology. And then you do the same thing for paragraphs 2 and paragraph 3. So if that's a little bit confusing, hopefully this will clear it up a little bit. We've got here an example paragraph which has been taken from AQA's indicative standard, which basically means that the exam board have put this out to teachers in the mark schemes, so it's going to contain exactly what it is they're looking for. So I'm going to read through this answer and then I will color code it to match it up with the comparative PME structure that we've just been through. The writer of source A modern father, is both saddened and pleased by his son's growth. He finds it difficult to accept that time is moving so quickly. He blinked and his son is already a year old. However, the pleasure he feels is also obvious, using phrases like blasting ahead to suggest his son is metaphorically taking off like a rocket before his eyes. In contrast, the writer of source B, who presents a Victorian mother's perspective, has a negative reaction to her son growing into a young man. She conveys a sense of loss at his independence, even using the phrase, "my little boy is lost." By using the adjective lost, we understand that she no longer sees herself as part of his life, and she regrets that he is no longer dependent on her to replace lost buttons. So this is how the PME structure is applied to this example paragraph. Hopefully seeing it color-coded like this will make it a little bit clearer for you, so you can work out and you can see the building blocks of a successful paragraph for this question. Of course, this paragraph on its own would not be enough. There would then have to be a second and a third paragraph that carries on in the same style and following a similar format. Okay, that is all from me in this video. Thanks very much for watching. I really hope you found it useful. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you could leave a like, because that gives me feedback on whether or not it's been a useful video or not, and obviously gives me some ideas of what kind of videos to make in the future. Of course, if you have any questions whatsoever, you are more than welcome to leave a comment in the comment section below the video, and either myself or somebody else will be able to get back to you and give you some advice and give you some support. Once again, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Bye for now.